Excellent. Well, I reckon we've got to the time in the evening now where we can start to talk about lead magnets and the main topic of this evening. So let's bring up our share screen and let's see what I'm supposed to be talking about tonight. I know I'm going to go off topic, but let's start with the best intentions. All right, unlock the secret to generating unlimited leads, how to create high converting lead magnet for your business. So before we do get into that, I'd like to know who here has, by show of hands, who here has, so I was just going to ask, who's got a lead magnet or using a lead magnet in some way, shape or form on your websites? Just pop up your hand if you're doing that already. So yeah, 1, 2, 2, okay, 3, yeah, 4, okay. So some of us have. Who here knows what a lead magnet is, and but maybe has got partway through producing one or haven't quite got there with it? Anyone in that sort of camp? Okay, great. Okay, so or anyone here not even know what a lead magnet is and are waiting for that to be revealed? No, so everyone's sort of got some idea as to what a lead magnet is. All right, so not quite there. Know what to do. Hang on, let me just bring up chat again. Okay, so a lead magnet is probably, in my world, it's one of the most underrated, underused free marketing tool that anyone can use in business. There are some key principles with it, but the fundamental key principle is that you have one, you have it on your website, you drive traffic to your website, and you're collecting names and email addresses, and you follow up. So those are the key concepts with a lead magnet. More often than not, people get to the point of creating a lead magnet and popping it on their website, and often that's where it stops. And that is around about 10% of the work that you need to do with lead magnets is creating it and putting it on your website. There's another 90% of the work that goes in behind all that to turn them into an effective lead generating tool. Peter, am I right in thinking that ebooks making a comeback as a lead magnet? Most are stored on a hard drive and forgotten about. Yes, ebooks are a very good example of a lead magnet. Yes, they are making a comeback. There's some things about ebooks, which I'll talk about as well, which make them hugely valuable. But yes, one of the problems with lead magnets is that, yes, they do get, well, they used to be stored in hard drives. They get stored in the cloud, or get stored in a folder on people's email accounts that they label must read or lead magnet or ebooks, and that never gets visited again. But the good news is that doesn't actually matter for us in business. The fact they don't read it, yeah, it's nice that they do, but it doesn't matter that they don't. Give an example of that as well. I used to publish, should get back to doing that, but used to publish a newsletter once a week. And to my entire database, they receive the newsletter once a week, and I never wrote it. So I got snippets of information from the web. These are things that I was interested in reading, and that I knew that my audience were also interested in reading to the most part. And a lot of them were apps and tools and strategies and processes, just like the sort of stuff that we see here tonight. And I think the open rate on those was around about 10%. It was less than 10%. So less than 10% of people read my newsletter, but it generated a lot of business for me. And the reason for that was not that people were not reading the newsletter, it's that I ended up in their inbox once a week. So they saw my name in their inbox once a week. And so this fella, Nick Cree, kept on popping up in their emails, and they knew what I did. And so when they were ready to take action, then they had me in mind. So I was top of mind for them. So the purpose of your lead magnets is not that they're necessarily reading it, but the question you should be asking yourself is, how can I use this mechanism of a lead magnet to be top of mind when people are looking for the products and services that I offer? So that's your question you should be focusing on. How can you use it to be top of mind? We're going to talk about how that works tonight. All right, I send a blog to my database every week. Open rates 15 to 20%. That's pretty good, Janine. That's really good. Click through is 6 to 10%. You've probably got a reasonably engaged audience as well too on your list as well too. And that's the thing about having a list. The more you email them, generally, the more engaged they're going to be. If you collect names into your CRM and you don't talk to them, then when you do start to send information for them, they've already forgotten who you are. They're not particularly engaged, and often they won't write it. So the key is, if you are building a list, which every business should be building a list, and you need to be emailing them at least, at the very minimum, once a fortnight. I think it needs to be on a weekly basis. So people often think, well, if I email them on a weekly basis, then aren't they going to get annoyed and unsubscribed? Great news is, if they do get annoyed and they do unsubscribe, then that's great. They're never going to be, your customers anyway. You want them to unsubscribe. So you don't necessarily need to retain people on your list that are not ever going to do business with you and not interested. So don't worry about the unsubscribes. But what you do want to do is make sure that you're communicating at least once a week. Anyone that knows me knows that I communicate probably 4 to 5 times a week to my email list. So if you're worried about, is it too much? I do it 4 to 5 times. I do get some unsubscribes. There are not many people unsubscribe, but people certainly know. So what it is that I do. They know who I am. So your job there is, do people know who you are, that you exist, and what you do? Does that make sense? So think about how you can be top of mind for people for what you do. And that's really what a lead magnet's going to do. What have we got? Nick, did you copy the article exactly, or did you rewrite it a little? No, what I did, Donna, was I copied the first paragraph. I copied the title of the article, the first paragraph, and I took an image off the blog post. That was what was in the newsletter, and they had to read more. So people click the read more, go and read the article. They read it on the original source website, not on my website. So it just took them straight through to their website. So they didn't even come to my website. They went to their website. So the point of that was that I was giving them information that they got to read. It was something they were interested in, and they knew that when I was delivering that newsletter, that there were generally going to be things of interest for them. And so all that newsletter did was to get them to associate the value that I gave. I'm someone that gives them value. I didn't write it, but I introduced them to the concepts. So it's a bit like a networking, when you introduce someone to someone else who's going to be a good contact for them. So I'm just doing that with content, introducing good content. So yeah, and the good thing about that newsletter, just a bit off track, but we'll come back on, is that because I didn't write it, I didn't have to worry about what I'm going to write this week. I used a service called Feedly, Feedly, that curated content for me. So I got Feedly to go out and look for content that was published that was in a specific area, and that was generally business and marketing related. And so each week we had probably 50 to 60 articles that were in that Feedly feed, and then we just chose 5 or 6 articles. But when I say we, it was not me. I had no involvement in that. I set it all up, and Lorena, who is on the call, she's in the Philippines. She actually ran that process. Took about 20 minutes a week to do that. But Nick Cree was top of mind for lots and lots of people, because I kept on sending these emails once a week. It's a weekly newsletter. And so it was almost an automated process. It was a reasonably automated process. So if you can automate it, then it means you're not worrying about, what am I going to write this week? Where am I going to find the content? It's all done for you. And we've got lots of tools that will do that this week. I have a formula for my emails with a read more directly to your website. Yeah, perfect. So yeah, so it just depends on what you're doing and the purpose of it. So yes, thanks, Peter. Yes, I like the shirt. It's one of my favorites too. All right, let's jump back into the lead magnet. So the first thing I think is essential. Everyone needs one. So if you're looking to generate leads, well, if you're wanting people to buy your products and services, before they do, you need to have a list of people. So, and it's pointless advertising. If you're using Google ads or Facebook ads or any form of ads, it's pointless advertising to sell your products and services, because only about 3% of people are in the market to buy exactly what you've got. And generally, before people know who you are, they're not going to buy from you until they know who you are as well too. So you still need to, even if you're running ads, you still need to be collecting people's email addresses and getting them to get to know who you are. So the process I'm going to talk to today is around organic. So how to generate your leads organically with a lead magnet. If you do run any advertising, it's only going to amplify the results you're getting organically. So if you get no leads organically at the moment, then sort of 0 times 100 in my book is still 0. So you've just paid a lot of money to get the same result. But if you are getting, let's say you're getting 5 leads a week, you start to advertise, you get a sort of 10 times return on it. Now you're getting 50 leads a week. So it's amplified what the results you're already getting. That makes sense? So ads are not a marketing strategy, it's an amplifier. All right, well, let's get back to my slides and see what's coming next. All right, so lead magnet, who's got one? So yes, Google did some research. This is fascinating. So they did some research on consumer behavior. Now, this is something that is essential for you to know and to work with. So in their research, and so Google's got lots and lots of data, particularly around what people are searching for and how they engage for content. So you'll know that Google owns YouTube. They've got the search engine, they run ads, and they've got a whole range of properties. They've got access. If you've got a Google Workspace account or a Gmail account, that there is a fuel for their research as well too. So they use all of their content to work out customers' behavior and what they do. So they discovered this thing called they created this rule, which is the 7-11-4 rule. Now, what this is, I think you're going to like this, but what is, anyone heard of this before? Yep, okay, great. A couple of people have, great. So the first one is that before people are going to buy anything from you, with your content, they need to have 7 hours of engagement. So 3 to 4 movies at Hoyt Cinema, that sort of length of time there. So 7 hours of engagement. So, but that's not all at one time. So if you run a podcast or you run a webinar like this, then that's a good chunk of time there to get that 7 hours of engagement. So that's the first thing. Second one is they need 11 touch points. So 7 hours of engagement, 11 touch points. So what that means is that a touch point could be they received an email from you. It could be they received a text message from you. Maybe you rang them. Maybe you saw them at a networking meeting. Maybe they came through and read a blog post. Maybe they have seen you on LinkedIn, connected with you on LinkedIn. Maybe they've seen a presentation of yours on SlideShare. They've downloaded an ebook, read an ebook, maybe received an email which delivered that ebook as well too. So 11 touch points. So in all, with those 11 touch points, and they've consumed 7 hours or have engaged with their content for 7 hours. And certainly with people's scrolling behavior on social media, sort of in a week, they'll definitely get through 7 hours in a week. Some people are spending almost that a day on social media. And what's more is they need to consume your content in 4 separate locations. So at least 4 separate locations. So a location is in their email inbox. It could be on their phone, on a social media feed. It could be on their computer, so viewing your website. Could be a podcast, listening to you on Spotify or iTunes podcast, or could be watching a video. So just different locations. So again, 7 hours of engagement, 11 touch points. So 11 times they see you, and on 4 separate locations. So with those 11 touch points, you can't just send 11 emails. So that's all count. So that's 11 touch points, but it doesn't meet 4 separate locations. That's all in the inbox. So you need to think about how can you get people sort of consuming your content or seeing you in various different media. So when you sort of see that there, Google 7-11 rule, what's your initial reaction to that in terms of what you're doing with your content at the moment? Feel free to unmute and Tell us what your initial reaction to that is.
Success is a long way away.
Sorry, say that again.
Success is a long way away.
Okay, success a long way away. Why is that, Mike?
Well, to coordinate all those things, 7, 11, 4.
Yep.
Is a big job.
So it feels like a lot of work to do that. Okay. Yep. Perfect. So that's quite common. Yeah. What else, Phil?
So my initial thought is like, this is a great opportunity for me to do it for people. That's what I do. I create content. And so it sounds like a good selling point for my services more than anything else for me to do it for other people.
Yep. Yep. Perfect. So it's probably easier to do it for other people than yourself too, isn't it? Yes. Yep. Any other thoughts on that?
Nick, when you talk about 7 hours of engagement, what exactly do you mean?
So that's people are in front of their screen. So this is digital. So Google's in the digital world. They are spending 7 hours engaged with their content. So that means they are in there, reading your social media profile. So they might spend I don't know, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, having your LinkedIn profile, as people do when they're stalking you. They may consume an ebook. So they might be reading an ebook. So it might take them, I don't know, an hour to read an ebook that you've got there. They might not do it in one sitting. They might come back and forth from it. Listening to a podcast. So the reason why podcasts and webinars are good is that generally you've captured people's attention for a reasonable length of time. So it might be that there. It could be that you run some form of free event too, like a free workshop, or maybe it's a paid workshop or something like that there, and they're there for a couple of hours. So that would count 2 hours of engagement of your content as well. So it's a range of those types of activities.
I have a question. Do you use AI on YouTube to analyze the engagement ratios to extend people's attention on your content?
You can do, yeah, and that's probably a good thing to do. Problem with content is you never quite know what's going to capture people's attention. So you've got to see what captures their attention, and the things that they do watch longer, and then produce more of that sort of content or that's related to it. But yes, there's some good AI tools out there that'll help you do that.
Yeah, I was thinking of vidIQ in particular, which really drills that down.
Yeah, that's a really good one. I use TubeBuddy, which does a sort of similar job as well too. Yep. Yeah. So if you Google 7-11-4 rule, you'll get sort of some concept of what it's about and what they talk about. Janine.
I've found a new free scheduling tool for social media. So for people who thinking there's a lot to do, it's called Metricool.
Oh, that's good. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Phil's got his thumbs up with that one.
Yep.
Yeah, and try and chunk work. I think that's the biggest thing, Nick, is not just go and I'm going to do one post here, but create a whole lot of work and then schedule things. And it just takes a ton of load off. Yeah,
100%. Yeah. That's one of the secrets, if you can chunk it. And you don't have to do all of this sort of all in one sitting as well, but you get a chunk of it done, schedule it out in social media, it runs there, then you come back to it next month.
Yeah.
I think on that, there's also one thing I found on the WordPress sites is it's a plugin that reposts your posts to all your social media lines. So if I'm doing a blog, then I can unarchive a lot of the posts that I've done in the past and then push it out to the different social media channels. And that coupled with some other plugins that enables you to really mechanize the existing blog posts to increase their effect.
Perfect. Yeah. So you don't need to come up with original content all the time. You can just republish because not everyone, if the algorithms are showing your content to 2% of your feed, you can republish that without and reach people that haven't seen it before. The other thing you can do too, in terms of republishing, if you're using reels and stories at the top of the social media feeds, again, you can just keep reusing the ones that you've got because they disappear after a while. just keep reusing the same content. So if you find ones that people are engaging with, just keep reusing it.
But no, on the real stuff, have you used, I mean, I've just started to play around with Adobe Express, and I get AI to write a script for, say, 200 words, and then I get another AI to do the voiceover, and then I load it into an animation character on Adobe Express. This is all free. And the animation character then articulates a 40-second reel, and that takes 15 minutes to do, which would take me a day.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. So the AI tools now are, there's some pretty good tools out there. The key thing with AI is that you do need to have a fairly good filter to ensure that what's going out still goes out with your brand voice in it and goes out with your voice. It's not some of the language that sometimes comes out of the AI tools, but you can train it to do that, and it can come through, pretty reasonably well. So the recommendation with that there is keep a library of the prompts that you're using for the AI tools, and just keep on building on the on those prompts. So you just work out what works well and reuse it, but keep adding to it as well. Okay. All right, so 7-11 4 rule. Hopefully that hasn't made any of you want to give up thinking this is impossible. It's not. Certainly for this particular show here. So if you're wanting to get something that does create content for you, this show here creates enough content for us, for our social media, for website, for many different mediums, for certainly for a week's worth of content. There's more than a week's worth of content out of this. We can get 7 hours worth of engagement for people quite easily just out of this hour and a half that we're running this show here. So if you want a good quick start, video is a great place to start in terms of generating your content, or as a starting point for your content. All right, 4 separate locations. So the fundamental thing about it too is that you're creating an ecosystem of content. So it's not just one thing. So it's not just a blog. It's not just a lead magnet. It's a whole ecosystem. So if you think so, an ecosystem must be at a minimum of 4 places that your content is out on the digital system. So you want it out on more than 4 platforms, because people aren't necessarily all going to go to the same 4 platforms that you're using. So you need to sort of think about how can you push it out as far as possible across as many platforms as you possibly can, so that when people are engaging, they're engaging on the platforms that they use themselves. So these are not the platforms that you would typically use. These are not your go-tos. You got to think about what are your audience's go-to platforms, and how do you sort of get it across a broad range of platforms. So that's where tools like Metrical, that is one of the better ones that I've seen. That's where they can help to really push it out. If you use a CRM, like say something like Go High Level, they've got scheduling tools in there. If you're using Canva, they've got scheduling tools in Canva as well. That last time we used that was a little bit glitchy, but it is a tool that you can use. So there's lots of tools out there you can use to start to automate getting the content out there. But think about your ecosystem, and when you're publishing content, you might even want to have a checklist where you're sort of checking off, sort of where you're publishing it to, so you've got a number of bases covered. So your lead magnet is really, that's a good place to start. So it's a low barrier for businesses, for you to create something like that. Some good tools to be able to create it. And it's also a low barrier for your potential clients and customers. People still read, believe it or not. They still read. People will still download text-based content. And that really is a good place to start. The good thing about having text-based content as well too is that people are normally quite happy to exchange their email address in order to get that content, and email is still one of the best marketing communication tools out there. So, despite what some people think that, people never read emails or they go to junk spam, they delete them, it's still a very good vehicle for marketing and one of the higher returning vehicles for your marketing. ChatGPT, it's your friend. So, and there's lots of tools that click into that. In fact, I was just looking at Google's Gemini tool, which is their version of, or their competing version of ChatGPT. They are rolling that out free across Google Workspace accounts. So, if you're in the Google ecosystem, you probably got an email today or you get one shortly that you can use their Gemini tool for free. So you've got ChatGPT or Gemini, and so I would be recommending that you can start to use some of that, particularly for speed. Now, with it does need a bit of work. So I've written lead magnets and ebooks with ChatGPT, but it's not a one-hit thing where you go and sort of put your prompt in and say, create me an ebook on whatever topic it is. You'll get garbage out if you do that sort of thing. So the good thing about ChatGPT is when you hop into it, let me just jump into one of mine. When you go into it, it remembers or it keeps a history of your thread as well. So where am I? Oh, let me just share my screen and see if I can get to ChatGPT. Hopefully everyone's familiar with ChatGPT, or at least have heard it. Okay, here we go. I've still got a white screen there, hoping there we go. So here's the content. So you can see lots and lots of work that I've done on the left-hand side there. But if you have a look at the threads here, if you have a look at see how long this thread is, it starts at the very beginning. So one of the recommendations I have here for ChatGPT is that you give it context. So before you even start getting it to create anything for you, is that you tell it what you're going to do, who it's for, the audience that it's for, give it lots of description and lots of material, and that you can upload things like PDF documents to it. They can't read URLs from online yet, but what you can do is you can use a tool called, I'll tell you what it is. Yeah, Go Full Page. So there's a Chrome extension called Go Full Page. What that'll do is it'll take a screenshot of an entire web page in front of you. And then what you can do is you can save that screenshot as a PDF, and you can upload that screenshot to ChatGPT, and it can then sort of decipher the text that's on the PDF document. So if you're wanting to reference information off, say, of your website, or you're doing some research, you can print off other people's websites into PDF documents too, and upload it to ChatGPT, so you can sort of find out things like who is there, who are your competitors' ideal avatars. What are the key problems they're solving? What's the language they use? So you can use ChatGPT like that. But I would feed it this information so that when it's creating a lead magnet for you, or any sort of information for you, it's got some context around it. Even think of things like if you've got Google reviews, or let's say you're offering a similar service to your competitors, and you notice there are competitors out there that got lots and lots of reviews. Go and grab their reviews and grab a screenshot of it, save them as PDFs, upload it to ChatGPT. Then you can ask it questions on, who are the ideal, give us the characteristics of the sorts of people that left these reviews. So you start to get some demographic and psychographic information from other people's businesses. And so you might be targeting the exact same sort of clients. Then you can sort of ask ChatGPT to say, create a profile, an ideal profile of, from all of these reviews here, an ideal profile for a customer. And then, you would ask it, what are the particular problems and issues that are highlighted? And so you'll find that, saying Google reviews, people are talking about problems and issues that they've had solved. So ChatGPT can reverse things. I think I've frozen again. Yes, I have.
Nick, can I add something there about chat? I was filling
Yes.
out a whole lot of questions yesterday for an award. Like there was a lot of questions. And I kept putting information in chat and saying, can you write this better, reword this better than I can? And I was getting very, very lazy. And right at the end, the last question was, why would you be a winning business? And I just put in chat, why would I be a winning business? It was bloody perfect. And the answer was so
Yep.
good because it had the whole thread. I said, you know me, why would it be a winning business? And it was a brilliant answer. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the really good thing when you put all that information in. Sometimes it can write it almost better than you can.
I was loving it. It was really well done. So yeah.
Yes. So yes, that is the absolute way to use it. And you chunk when you're using ChatGPT, you chunk it down as well too. So instead of writing a full document, you ask it questions and just get it to give you the answer to this segment here. So I normally get the answer, copy and paste it, put into a Google Sheet, come back, do the next one. And that way you're able to refine it. So if it's not quite right, or there's words or language in there you don't like, you can say this word is banned forevermore. And so and it won't use that word again. So you can do things like that there. But it's just building up that wealth of knowledge about who you are. That's what you're doing with the with ChatGPT. So I feel you had your hand up.
Yeah, I know. I've come across a bit of an issue with a clients actually in the past week with using AI, that I have clients that are adamantly against it. I know that, I mean, I love it. I love using it. I'm totally dyslexic, so it's just a godsend to me. But what's your information about having to declare that you're using AI when you're generating content? Because like when I load up onto YouTube, I can now see that there's a checkbox. It says, is any of this content AI generated? And I'm aware that when I'm working with Adobe Express, that Adobe now has relationships with the BBC and the ABC, where they're inputting algorithms into images so that content can be traced to the creator whenever you're using AI.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's a it's a bit of a grey area. It's like, how do you attribute to so much content has got some origin in with AI helping? So whether it's actually written the content or whether it's done some help with some of the research of the content. So like loading up those Google reviews, that's helped with some of the research and start to frame some of the context around what this content is used for. So so if a client's asking, if they're uncomfortable AI, I'd be asking them a question, what is it that they're uncomfortable with? And so then you'll dig in and find out, so what part of it that they're uncomfortable with. And generally they just don't want generic stuff out there, I found.
No, I think they're actually script writers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I think there's no avoiding AI tools these days. It's just part of life now, I think. But there's a lot of room and scope there for your own originality. So you need to be able to use it as a tool, not as the answer. So it's not the silver bullet. You use it as a tool to help you create. So, we've progressed past the point of digging in the soil with our hands. We use a spade now for gardening. So that's a tool that we use. And sort of ChatGPT is just the same sort of thing as well too, or the AI tools. Yeah. But what you can do with the likes of the AI tools too is you ask it. I always ask, this is what I want to do. So here I've said, now, can we work together on content for an ebook, email sequence, opt-in page, how-to guide, template, checklist, to help business owners understand what a lead magnet is and how to create one. So that's the overall task there. Then I give it some context, and then I ask it, what do you need to know, or is there anything you need to know that's going to help you with this task? And it will come back and give you some good prompts in terms of the information you need to provide. So then you can go off and get that information, bring it back and upload it or add it into the prompt and say, here are the answers to your question. what else do you need, or what do you need more clarity in? So you're actually spending a lot of the time at the beginning of this asking for clarity and for giving it as much information you can, but you're asking it to ask you the information that you want. So that's really helpful to do that, and then you'll get some really good, solid content come out when you do that. So you've got to assume that these AI tools know nothing, and you've got to give them everything. And then once you've given it all to them, then it can go off and help you with your task. And then you can also ask it to give you the prompt. So you can ask it, well, if I was going to ask you to write this for me, what's the prompt that is going to be the best prompt? So it will give you the prompt as well. So you can ask it for the prompt, it'll give you the prompt, and then you can work with it. So I suggest doing it in very short chunks, and then you refine it as you go. And so, that simple refinement was, don't use these words, or what's the refinement? I use the refinement as I want everything written in the second person. So not as first person, not as third person, as second person. So that's a refinement that I put in there, so that when I give it that instruction, I say from now on in, everything's got to be in the second person. And so sometimes you'll find that it'll come out in third person or first person. Then you just remind it that no, it's got to be second person. So it just gets better and better and better as you write, well, as you're using a tool to do your writing. But it's a good tool to be able to create some lead magnets. You can do things like checklists. So a lead magnet is some examples of lead magnets. They are your ebooks. They are checklists. They can be worksheets. They can be what they call listicles. So ChatGPT is great for lists. So give me a list of 99 marketing strategies that work for orthodontists. So you can get those sort of lists as well. And then you've got things like videos. Like videos can be lead magnets as well. So if you've got a short, sort of video training, and people that do that really well are Bunnings. So if you jump onto the Bunnings website, and you'll see there's videos on there. And I know this because I'm not very good with my hands building stuff. So I go to the Bunnings website, and I've done things like make a gate. So they've got videos on how to make a gate, for instance. I need one to keep the chickens out. I fence my entire property of videos of Bunnings. Great thing about those videos is that they're very clear, they're very instructional, and you know that all of the products that you're going to need that they're using in the videos, you can buy those from Bunnings. So they've positioned it really well. So if you do your videos well, then you're showing people that what to do or how to do what it is that you're teaching, but you're also showing them that you've got all the tools to be able to help them as well too. So you can be strategic about it, but that's a good lead magnet as well too. So lots and lots of things that you can have as lead magnets. Audio files. I would suggest if you're doing ebooks, that you also give people the option of downloading the ebook into their Kindle readers. So you want to create an EPUB version. So if you just go and Google, let's say Word document or Google document to EPUB, you'll find apps out there that'll give you that will turn them into, for free, it'll turn them into say Kindle format. You can then go and offer those on your website too. So it means that you've given people another location to consume your content. So, rather than just ebook they're reading on their computer, now they've got it on their Kindle device or, on their phone. So you can do that. You can also create audio files out of your text documents as well. So so if you just Google, turning Word document into audio file, you'll find that there are converters out there that will do that, or AI tools out there that will do that too. So again, that gives you another location for people to, consume your content. So you're using the same piece of content, but you're just putting it into multiple different ways that people can consume it. But it just starts to meet that 7-11-4 rule, and that you're putting them in more locations that are going to help with your marketing. ChatGPT, while we're in ChatGPT too, the other recommendation I've got with it too is when let's say you're writing an ebook, don't go mad. It'll write you a 150-page ebook, but you may only need a 5-page one. So just work out what's going to be useful for your audience as well too. You don't want to overwhelm them. You still want them to consume it as much as possible. But what we can then start to do is people download your ebook. That's not where it ends, or your lead magnet. That's not where it ends. How are you communicating and how are you following up with them after they've downloaded and after they've consumed it? I love video and I love text documents because then you can add to it. So think about, typically the old formula was that, you create, like all of the names and email addresses go into your CRM, your customer relationship management tool. So whether that's Aweber, MailChimp, Go High Level, ActiveCampaign, whatever the tool is. And then it was typical to send out 5 to 7 autoresponder emails after that to follow them up, which you should do too. But you can use ChatGPT to start to do that as well. So you can ask it a question like, pretend that I am, let's say, Bob Bly, Dan Kennedy, Amy Porterfield, and I'm writing a follow-up sequence of emails for this lead magnet. What would they write? Give me a prompt to tell me what they would write. So it will then give you that prompt, and it will give you some structure to it as well too. So you can probably Google some good email content structures for your follow-on emails when they download a lead magnet. And typical ones are things like the first email is going to be your here's your download. Second one is going to be just checking you got the download yesterday and giving them a link again. Next one would be picking out something that's important in that in the document. So it might be a chapter in that you expand on. So maybe you expand on it in a way where you give them some, or for me, I would generally give people some tools that they could use to create whatever it's they're creating. So here are some apps and tools, or AI apps and tools are going to help you. That would be another good email that adds to the content you've already given or adds value to it. You can then, so you might do a couple of those. You might also do things like a case study. So, clients that have used it, this is the results they've got. So you might have a case study around that. And you might have some testimonials as well. So you can use your testimonials in the email. Hear what sort of some of the results that people have gotten. This is what they're saying about it. So those are sort of common structure. And of course, you'd have your calls to action on it, whether that's to book a call or join your course or whatever happens to be. No, but you can ask ChatGPT to give you that outline, or you can grab an outline off the web, paste it in, upload it, and say, I want to create an email sequence like this. And then you can set it to work to create each one of those emails as well too. So that way, you're cutting down your work for your email sequences. Now, it used to be 5 to 7. Now, my recommendation is, yes, do your 5 to 7, but think about doing 52. So 52 are like once a week for the rest of the year. Or you can double that, do it for every fortnight. Because just remember that the people are not necessarily in buying phase right now. It's not to say they won't be, but you want to be top of mind for when they're ready to buy. And that example that I used at the beginning, where I sent a newsletter every week. Well, you can do that with your lead magnet. You're going to send them something once a week, and that they're interested in it because they've downloaded it. Keep on adding value to it. So you can queue all these up. I know some of them queued up 3 years worth of content going out every week. So, so you can use it that way. And you can have ChatGPT helping you with that sort of content. When I say ChatGPT, I'm talking about AI tools in general. If you go into Canva, they've got Magic Write. I think that Adobe suite, that's got AI sort of tools in there for writing content as well. So whatever tools you're using, they generally come back and use something like ChatGPT or Gemini or one of those tools anyway. They've got an API into it. But that's how you get the leads. That's how you keep people engaged, is by continuing to follow up. There was a stat that I can't quite remember there, but it's something like there's some some percentage of businesses that only follow up one time when people, when they've made contact. They follow up once. But it's not until, I think it was something like 70% of sales on average are made after the 5th follow-up. Yet most businesses only follow up once or twice. So if you get to that fifth follow-up, that's when the money is. That's when you're making sales. So again, you with your emails, if you've got at least 5 in there, just remembering that people need to engage, need 7 hours of engagement. So if you're sending out an email every week and it takes them, I don't know, 10 minutes to read your email, 5 minutes to read your email, then if you keep on doing that consistently, and in your emails you're sending them back to maybe a YouTube channel, you've got some videos on a YouTube channel, maybe giving some additional resources, maybe you're sending to your podcast or someone else's podcast, so they're consuming content to get up to that 11 hours, then this is a really easy way to do it, where it's reasonably automated as well. Does that make sense? But you can use ChatGPT to help you craft that content. So don't let your writing be a block. You can also use it to give you a video script as well. So if you want to create some sort of video script out of the content that's created, then you can ask it for a script for that. And so then you can jump onto video, you can read it, or as Phil mentioned before, there are AI tools out there which will do the video voiceovers for you as well too. But again, all comes in from your social media. So it's from your ChatGPT. So it's a magic tool to really help you if you do it well. Now, I keep coming back to this particular thread. So you can think about, let's say you want to provide a training course, a short training course on some aspect of what you do. You can come back into the same thread, go down to the end, say that you want now, based on the content you've got here, now you want to offer a training course. Give me an outline for a training program that will take people, let's say, less than 5 minutes each session to do. So then you can get an outline for that from ChatGPT, and then you can start to fill out the content, just like you did with your lead magnet. You can start to create. So then you can start to create your course with it as well too. And that's another way to get people to consume your content. Now, the great thing about this is the production cost on this is very low. So this is the cheapest tool that we've got in terms of producing some of the content that we want. You don't need sort of teams of writers and videographers and audio engineers and all that sort of thing. You can do a lot of this yourself with some of these tools. And certainly if you search through Facebook, for instance, some of the tools and apps that I've reviewed in the past, there's tools and apps that will cover most of these things that you're talking about, and a lot of them are free as well too. And if they're not free, they're reasonably low cost. All right. Has that been helpful?
Yes.
Yep. Any sort of question?
I have a question.
Yep.
How long would you say you spend per week creating lead generating content?
Well, probably not long, because a lot of the lead generating content that I've already created, and now it's in a system that just keeps on going out. So, so I spend more of my time there thinking about how can I get more traffic to my website so that they're getting some more of the content, so they're into that content funnel or into that content system.
Okay. I'm just a one-man band. I like it that way. So when I get a job, sometimes that's me booked out for 3 months, 3 years.
Yeah.
And so I can't service a lead generating, something that's generating a lot of leads when I'm actually dedicated to a client. And that's been a bit of a dilemma for me.
So that's a good problem. Is there anyone else in your field there that would be happy to buy those leads from you?
You?
There are people always looking for leads. So, if you can't service them, you can always sell them.
Right. Okay. And is there a marketplace for that kind of thing?
Probably. You could probably jump onto Facebook. There are Facebook groups in there. There are forums, like if you're in WordPress, for instance, there's a WordPress Slack channel. So there are various places or you could look for people that are already advertising to get leads, approach them directly, say you've got a source of leads.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. Okay, what is any other questions here? How long do we spend on content? Yeah. All right, thanks, Mike. Yes, when you're in Chat GPT, always good to use your manners, say please and thank you. And you never know when the AI tools are going to take over the world. You want to be one of the ones that they like, not ones that they want to knock off first. So, but yes, it is a good thing to say please and thank you in there for your own sanity. So it's a much more like AI, like when you're in the AI tools, it's really easy to get frustrated and angry. You might ask how I know this, but I've found that when you start to say things like please and thank you and treat it like a human being, even though it's not, then you start to get better responses because your responses are better. So that's a really good point. So just use normal, polite conversation. Yep.
I'm not a person, Nick.
Yes.
Are you
Sorry,
sure?
Mike. Sorry, Mike, to shatter your. I don't know. It could be. Who knows? Donna,
Hi, Nick. How you going?
I'm good.
That's good. My question is this bloody content, because some people come through and, it's been showing up in the feed, who likes long content, who likes short. Personally, I hate long content. If it's too long, I just go, oh, bugger it. No time, no time. But I think sometimes I'm not the average. So what is a good couple of 100 words or whatever for content and minutes? Because I do videos as well.
Yeah. Well, first thing is no, you're not average. But in terms of length of content, the content your content can't be too long. Like there's no such thing as long content. Like it's what people are interested in, what they consume. So there's a correlation between content and when people buy. So generally, if it's short content or people are just skimming through the content, they're probably not in the position where they want to buy. They might be just looking or researching or whatever. But people that have got an intense need for something and they want to make sure they're making the right decisions will read far more content. So in my mind, and it depends what the purpose of your content is, but certainly it's better to provide more content, not waffle, but more content that is in-depth and valuable. Break it up with with good headlines and sub-headlines. But if people want to read it, they will read it. Now, most people are skimmers. They'll get to a web page and they'll just sort of skim it. And most people start at the top, they skim right down to the bottom. They read they're looking for the price, or they're looking for what's the catch. So they go to the bottom, and then they'll come back up, and then they'll start to skim through. And typically, what they'll do is they'll skim through the headlines. So one trick is to ensure that your headlines and sub-headlines tell the story of the page. They should be able to get a reasonable story of what this page is about, what's in it from there, just by reading the headlines. And then if when they're at the point they're interested, then they'll start to read some of the text. They probably won't read it all, but they'll read some of it.
Right. So what about Facebook and things like that? Content on that? I mean, websites, that I'm fairly understand. But Facebook seems to be one of those things that is all over the place. And I haven't seen anything that sort of said, content needs to be this many words or whatever.
So again, it's what's relevant, what people can read. Same principle. I've written some very long. I've written some very long answers to posts on Facebook, in Facebook groups that have got high number of likes and comments. And the reason is that generally those ones have been instructional. So people have asked how to do things.
Yeah.
Yep. And so, and you'll find a lot of people jump in and they'll recommend themselves or recommend someone else. It's like, that's not really what the question is. I go in and provide a full set of instructions on how to do something. So someone can walk away, they'll be able to do whatever it is they want to do. So I've solved that problem. So that content there's no length to it. It's like, how many words does it need to be in order to answer that question?
To complete what you're doing. Yeah. So if it's not instructions, it's just information, I suppose, knowledge that you're passing on.
Same thing. But again, you want to paint Yep, you want to punctuate it so it makes it easier to read. So if
Gotcha.
you're punctuating Facebook posts, for instance, you can't bold things or whatever, but you can use emojis.
Emojis, yeah.
And for headlines, instead of bolding headlines, you can put sort of a dot above and below it, so that it stands out. So you can give it a headline type of thing too. So just use your characters on your keyboard and work out what works to make it stand out. But same principle.
Right. Okie dokie.
Yeah.
Right. Cheers.
The other thing I should say too, in terms of search, if you're wanting to get rankings on the search engines, more content, longer form content is better than short form content. So it's better to have long form content that you think people are not going to read, but they're going to find it because it gets ranked in Google, than 300 words that never makes it to front page of Google because it's too short.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
Yep.
Excellent. Thanks.
All right. Any other comments or questions? All right. Let's just see where we are. I think we're just about there anyway.
Actually, I'm quite like to thank you, Nick. This has been far more informative than I thought it would be.
Thank you. I'm not sure whether it's a backhanded compliment or
It's
not.
really good. It's really good. Good information. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, Phil. Yeah. There's probably just a couple of other things I want to touch on, and then we'll finish up for tonight. CRM. So yes, I just want to put CRM in there. Must have a CRM. A lead magnet without a CRM is just useless. You need to be able to follow up. So your CRM is all about follow up. And if you are paying for leads, like you're paying ads to get to get leads, then again, you need to have a CRM. So you keep following up. You paid for it once. You want to make sure you keep communicating with them. All right. Follow up. There we go. Yeah. Relentless follow up. Yes. You cannot email people too much. You cannot have too much content out there. Well, actually, you can email people too much. So 6 times a day is probably a bit much, although I've done that before too. So but it is just that relentless follow-up, and you want to be omnipresent. So, across the web. So omnipresent means that you are unforgettable. People notice you. You are there on all, as many of the social media platforms you can. I know you may sort of focus on, say, 1 or 2, but you want to be present across it all so that as people are making those 4 touch points, or at least 4 places where they find you, that you have got content there. So it means that, for things like TikTok, there is no excuse not to be on TikTok. If you are making video content, and even if you're making text-based content and you've got images, there's no excuse not to be on that platform. People often think it's just for young people, but it's not. I know a mortgage broker that gets 100% of his business off TikTok. So if that's where your audience is, and it's not just young people that are there, I'm there. So I believe I'm not young anymore. I'd like to think otherwise, but I'm on there. And so you'll find that your audience are there as well too. Often people think, say, LinkedIn is where you need to be if you're business to business. Yes, it is. But these people have got lives. They go home. They've got kids often. Where are the kids hanging out? The kids are hanging out on Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, depending on the age of the kids. So you'll often find the parents who are working in these corporate jobs that they're out on these other platforms as well. So you need to be showing up across the range of platforms. The other key thing to this is just making sure you don't keep reproducing new stuff. Repurpose your content. So make it easy for yourself, and repurposing means, one, using the same sort of content in different contexts. So let's say you produce a blog post a week, because which is adding to your content. You've got an email that goes out for that blog post. At the end of the year, you can turn all those blog posts into a book or an ebook at least. So that's repurposing the content. Believe it or not, you can sell that content too, and people will pay for it even though you offer it for free. You can turn that content into a course, a program, you can even turn it into videos, a podcast as well too. So just think about, how can I use this content in a different way? So that is key to it all. And if you don't know how, just jump into ChatGPT and ask it how you could repurpose it. It will start to give you some ideas and some answers as well too. And the other key too, and thanks Phil for bringing that up, is how much time do I spend in this creating sort of content for lead magnets? Not too much, because I automate as much as I possibly can. So, and there are tools out there, the one that Janine talked about with Metrical, you can automate lots of your social media posting. You can recycle stuff, but you want to look at sort of how you can automate it and get it into some sort of system. And if you do want that particular publication that I wrote with ChatGPT, Definitive Guide to Creating High Converting Lead Magnets, there is lots of stuff in there. It's not all ChatGPT generated. These are some of the ideas that I have that I know works, and we've used ChatGPT to put some words around it, but these are my concepts. So if you want to grab that, feel free to go and grab that, and then you'll get to see the process in action. So, you'll get to see some of the follow-ups that I do in terms of emails. Don't worry about getting 24 months worth of content. You can always unsubscribe from it, but you'll see that sort of stuff in process as well too. So if you want an example, a good example, let's say that's a good example as to how the process works. All right, and that there brings us to the conclusion of our session tonight. So, any other comments, questions, anything else you would like, any follow-on? Anything unclear, confused, or you're all going to be out there creating some incredible pieces of content now?
Nick?
Mike?
It's interesting to note that when you're the speaker, there are more people here than when you're not.
I have noticed that as well, yeah.
It's been a fantastic program, Nick. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks for that, Mike. Excellent. All right. Well, that is the session. If you do want to watch it again, obviously it'll be up on the YouTube channel, SmashGo YouTube channel tomorrow afternoon. If there's anyone else that you think would value it as well, or it might be helpful for them, feel free to send them also. If there's not enough content sort of in this segment too, there's several hundred other videos up there as well too. You are bound to find something there that is going to help you with your marketing, your business, whatever aspect of it is. So feel free to go and search in there. If you're not a member of the Facebook group, Business Owners Smashing Online, feel free to go and join that as well too. And of course, there's some of that gold is in there as well. And of course, we've got the announcements about the next session as well too. If you do want any help with any of this at all, feel free to reach out to me. I can definitely help with things like your CRM, your web systems, helping to create the lead magnets, helping to, you with your prompts, etc., with ChatGPT as well, and some of the tools that'll help. So yeah, if you want any of that, reach out, and I'm happy to help you there. All right, well, it's probably time for a glass of red, a bit of a relax, and go and enjoy the evening. So thanks everyone for coming along, and I look forward to seeing you back here next week.